Hello, Kylie Bertucci, Stampin Up demonstrator in Australia. Of course, I have to try something new like 5 to 10 minutes just before I go live. You probably noticed a few little things that I I popped up. I almost cracked the code, but there's one issue in Australia is our poor internet. Poor as in not very good internet. So I have to work out how to go live connected to that little schedule. But I will find a way. I'm very excited about seeing that. Hello, Rebecca. Good to see you. I have some exciting information for you today that I know you're going to love because I did a fair bit of research about it last night. Because sometimes there's certain things that you do and you don't actually know that you're doing them. So it's good to be able to write it all down and put actions into words and then be a little bit more aware of how to create this culture of trust with your customers and your team members. Hello, Angela. Good to see you. If there's anyone here, I know there's quite a few on, so feel free to comment, say where you're from, what you're looking forward to with the chat today, because I love seeing all our live members coming along, but there could be a few that watch the recording afterwards, or even if they watch it on YouTube, you could still get the same benefits from the video today. So this was a really interesting point, and the reason why I thought of this, and you know, I've written a lot of the things that we're going to talk about a lot earlier in the month, but I think that this is a really interesting topic because trust is a really big thing within a team, and also with your customers. It's a huge thing. It's a huge thing for your business, and especially as you're starting out and when you're growing, it's really nice to know what sort of things can actually build trust, but also what things can destroy it. And demonstrators unwittingly could be destroying trust left, right, and center because we tend to go into Stampin' Up with the idea of, and I spoke about it I think last week as well, like, am I a hobbyist or am I a business demonstrator? And also as women, we tend to not want to take things too seriously. And we also have really busy lives. So a lot of demonstrators have families that they're taking care of or other responsibilities. A lot have other jobs as well. And so this can mean that it can be pulling at us what we're actually able to physically do and what we're capable of. So I really thought that it would be really a good idea to talk about this because a lot of it has to do with consistency, building trust, and it's an area where most of us actually find it the most difficult, being consistent. And I think it's really important when it comes to something like trust, because it's an emotional, and it's a deep emotional thing. The key area is that you really need to be yourself. You're not going to be able to get people to trust you if it's not legitimate, and if it's not real, and if it's not from your heart. And there's people can just see through schmoozing. They can see right through it. They can see if you're being real. They can see if you're being honest, and they can see if you're being open. So I think on the whole, crafty women, people who love card making and scrapbooking, we genuinely are good people, and we genuinely are honest people too. So it is our culture to actually be trusting people. But the challenge can arise when our trust gets damaged or we feel that we have failed someone. And I've got a few steps that can help you in that regard and explain a little bit more about what I'm talking about. Oh, thank you for sharing my video, Pam. Very sweet of you. So firstly, it's good to remember, and we know this already, but we are creating real relationships with people, with our customers, with our fellow team members, with our fellow demonstrators. These are real relationships. So something that I always ask myself when I'm thinking about how I treat my team and how I treat my customers is how would I like to be treated? With what respect would I like to be given? And one key area is none of us like to be talked down to or treated like a child or treated like we are different levels, because ultimately no one is above another person. We're all equal and we're all the same. And so the way that we speak to our team and to our customers can make a big difference in how they feel, and also whether it elevates them or puts them down. So a key thing to do would be to listen to your team. And at times this can be hard if it's something that you don't have the same opinion about. But I really love getting my team's opinion. So I actually ask for this regularly. I have a monthly survey that I've started just recently, actually, to get to know a bit more about what their needs are and how I can help them with that. That way, if they do need help, I'm not being pushy too by going, so what help do you need? And they're like, I really don't need help. Leave me alone. Stop bugging me. But with the survey, it's been really good, because then the ones that do want my assistance, I can give that to them, and it can be specific to them as well. So yeah, things come up with teams, and I think it's usually around when you start building a bigger number. Say if you go to Silver Elite and you're getting, say, 5 team members, and then you're increasing above 5, that can be where it can start getting a little bit challenging, because you've got different personalities and you're growing. So for me, it was quite challenging moving from, because I think I had maybe 5 to 10 team members, and then one celebration, it just went crazy. Because everything went online and a lot of things changed. And so then all of a sudden I had, I think, 20 or 30 new team members within 3 months. And I really wasn't ready for it. And I didn't actually know the impact it was going to have on me and my team by having a lot of these new personalities come in. So yeah, I've had to learn the hard way as to how to handle a bigger team and how to look after them properly. So I've got some little tips here that have helped me with my team. So firstly, involving decisions, we've talked about, and getting their opinion. And being, like, I know even when I get their opinion, like if I find that there's something that they've said, or if there's a suggestion that they've put forward, I will always say, thanks to X team member, they let me know this. I never take credit where credit is not due, because if my team member has come up with the idea, absolutely I'm going to mention them. And it's okay if you don't know the answer to everything. I think some demonstrators think that by being a team leader, it means that you have to be all-knowing and you have to know every answer. And it's not true. Like, we're humans, we have lives, and I think the key area is just being honest if you don't know the answer. And sometimes it's good not always knowing the answer and saying, you know, maybe give Stampin' Up a call, or have a research in the manual and let me know what you find out. And sometimes this is actually a better thing for your team members, because it's helping them to help themselves. It's helping you because you're learning from them. And this in turn gives them a bit of self-esteem as well. They're like, oh wow, I helped my team leader. Because we can't help but, even with the titles like team leader, team member, like, it's better now. When it was upline, downline, I think even that term in itself is like saying I'm above you and you're below me, which is so not true. And don't ever think that. If you start thinking like that as a team leader, then you've got to readjust your thinking, because we're all the same. We are all the same level. We are just team members together. But being a team leader just means that I'm their biggest cheerleader. That's the only difference. It doesn't necessarily mean that I have to run or build their business for them, for my team members. That's up to them. We're all individuals and we all have something to give, and we all have something to learn from one another. So that's really important to make sure that they know that that's how you view them as well. You know, there's times where I've got to step in as a group administrator, but even then I've had a few of my team members become administrators as well, and we discuss things together, which is actually better for me in the long run too. So I've got a few notes here as well that I've written down. Yeah, we've mentioned that it's okay if you don't know the answers to things, but also something that I had to implement in my team, and I think this is a really key area because this is to do with communication, is that we all have limits. We all have a time that we can give for our team, and there's time that we can't. And we have to schedule that time so that they know exactly when we are available and what time we are setting aside for them. So for me, because Bruno and I do voluntary work on Thursday to Sunday, like that's our time to do our, we're learning Hindi and we're doing other things. So I am very clear with my team, and if it sort of gets a bit blurred and there's new ones that have come in, then I just let them know, look, Monday to Wednesday, I'm available. But if you don't hear from me after Thursday, you know, maybe it's best that you call Stampin Up because I won't be around, or it will be delayed. My answer will be delayed. But I think it's just letting them know exactly what your limits are. That, you know, if you are answering them at night time, that is not, they shouldn't expect that from you, because we have lives. This is our job. Like, would our job expect us to be on call 24/7? When we're building our team, we get excited and we do everything for them. But at some stage that may have to change, and we may change in our head like, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. But have we told our team that that's not going to happen anymore? Have we let them know why these changes are happening and what our motivation is? And if they understand a bit more as to what's happening in your life and your limitations and your expectation, that will help them. And if it doesn't suit them, you know, you can say, look, I totally understand if this doesn't suit you, but this is how I need to run my business from now on. And it doesn't necessarily mean, and this is what's really interesting, is the fact that I've said, okay, I've got 3 days. That doesn't necessarily mean you can say 3 days. You might be able to just say, look, I've got this time in between here and here. It could be a couple of hours. It could be 1 day. Whatever it is, you work out what your limits are, and don't feel guilty about that. That is your limits. That's the most that you can possibly do. And, you know, your team members will respect that because you've just let them know what, you know, what is happening and what to expect. So, yeah, that has really helped me, because before that, I kind of was getting to a point where I was like, oh my goodness, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. I don't want to be working 24/7. I've got a husband that I need to care for. I've got a house that I've got to maintain, and I want to have a life. I want to be able to go out and do things and socialize and have my friends over. And it's beginning to look like I can't do that as well as have a bigger team. And that's not true. It's just setting these guidelines, or these communicating well as to what you are able to give them. So another big area that we sometimes fail in is consistency. So with our team, you know, you ask yourself, do they know what to expect from you as their team leader? You know, do you have a monthly thing that you do for them? Do you give them cards on a special event like an anniversary? And it doesn't mean that you have to do these things, but whatever you do decide to do, make sure that you're doing it consistently, because there would be nothing worse. And, you know, again, putting yourself into their shoes, there would be nothing worse than seeing a demonstrator get a card for their anniversary and then you don't receive it. And actually that's reminded me, because I only give anniversary cards to my level 1. So maybe I haven't communicated to my level 2 and 3 that that's just something I do for my level 1, because I could be seeing cards and going, why are they getting cards and I'm not? Like, is my anniversary not worth anything? So yeah, little things like that. And, you know, it could be something that I implement for the entire team, and it might take a bit of work, and I might say, you know what, I can't add that to my workload. Or it could be like, you know what, it will be worth adding it to my workload. So you've got to work it out what is right for you, but then also communicate that so that they know exactly. And it also holds you accountable, because if you tell your team, this is what I'm going to do for you, then you have to make sure that you adhere to that. That is really important, because if you don't, it can create this lack of trust, and it creates animosity, and it makes people feel, that someone's more important than the other. So it creates jealousy. And all of those things in your team can very easily happen. And a lot of it is due to these things, by not communicating, by not expressing what is happening in your life, and expressing how much time that you have to give to your team. And what we tend to do too, and it's not a good thing to do, but as team members, we can compare what other team members are getting. So like, oh, I really want to be part of that team because that team gets this and this, and I'm really discontent with what I'm getting. But the one thing to always remember as a demonstrator is you are the one that is in control of having a team or not having a team, because you can build your own team. So I didn't have a team leader, and I didn't expect a team leader to do anything for me. And I'm the same with my team. I will give them support, and I will cheer them on, and sometimes I give them tough love. But that's pretty rare. Like, on the whole, I'm running my own business, and they know that. They know that I will be there to support them if they need it. But on the whole, they're pretty much doing their own thing, because that's what being an independent demonstrator is. We're independent from one another. We are building our own businesses. They get, pretty much the only thing that my team members get that other team members wouldn't get is they have the Aim for Alaska group for free. But even in that, they've got to work hard. They've got to apply the material. They've got to read or listen to the videos. It's not like it's just landing in their lap. It doesn't land in anyone's lap, no matter what team you're in. And there's ways of getting that information if you want it. It may mean that you have to invest. I invest because I know that I need to keep progressing. So therefore I invest in training. I pay for training. I read books. So if you think that something's just going to come to you without you having to do any work because of the team leader that you choose, then you're in a bit of a fantasy land because it's not true. And there's a few girls that can actually tell you, it's hard work no matter what team you're in. If you want it, you will get it, regardless to who you're with. So don't compare. Don't look at other teams and think, and I hear it often with demonstrators, I don't have a very supportive team leader, so that's why I haven't been successful. No, that's not why you haven't been successful. It's because you haven't wanted it, and now you're using it as an excuse that you don't have a team leader that's supporting you. There is no business in the world that you can purchase and expect it to come with a ready-made staff. And if it did come with that stuff, you probably would end up changing it because it wouldn't suit your personality, or it may not be the way that you want, the direction that you want to go in. So you have a really great opportunity as demonstrators to create your own team and to really build that trust and that connection with your team, and to continue. Like, there's been times where there's been really difficult situations that I've had to learn from. Maybe where I haven't given a demonstrator in my team, like I didn't have a yearly awards, and I had a very, very top performing team member who was doing top sales every year. And we would announce it and we would talk about it and make a big deal, but I didn't send her a card and I didn't give her a gift. And that really hurt her. She spoke to other demonstrators, and that made it even more, she even became more discontented. And I had to learn from that situation, and I had to say, I'm really sorry that, I haven't given you, what you were looking for. I could have said, well, no one does that for me. I don't have a team leader. Even though I do have a team leader now. Sue Maddox is my team leader that stepped in, and she's amazing. She looks after me a lot, but she knows I run my own business, and she's there if I need her. But majority of the time we're barely in contact because we're just running our own business and doing our own thing, and we have our own lives, and that's the way it sort of runs in business. So it's really good to think about those sort of things. Are you one of those demonstrators in your team that is creating a lack of trust? You know, do you talk about your team leader in a negative way? And this can happen. You know, team members can get frustrated with our team leaders, but just talk to them. Just say, look, you know, I've got a suggestion. How would we be able to make this happen? You know, if they don't want it to happen, then you've got to respect that. But what you can do is create a team of your own and do it with your team. So don't be upset if your team leader isn't wanting to do it, because at the end of the day, it's her business. It's her team. She's built it. And we have to respect that is the way it is. When you get your team, you can do whatever you like because you've built that team. So you can implement, you know, if you have ideas, write them down so that as your team grows, you can implement it with your team. So yes, it's very important to have consistency, but also consistency when it comes to a team we talked about, but consistency from a customer point of view. And this is the first time that we're talking about customers now. But it's really important to be consistent with your customers. So do you thank them if they place an order? If you do manual ordering, do you put in their order in a timely manner? This is why I basically cannot take orders manually, because I'm so bad at putting it in. And I know that that's a weakness for me. So I actually tell my customers, if they say, oh, can I please place an order with you? I don't have a credit card. And I say, I'm really sorry, but I can't take orders manually because you probably won't receive it. It sounds terrible, but I know I'm really bad at putting in orders. And, you know, maybe back in the day, I would just have to suck it up and really be consistent or ask for help, you know, say, Bruno, can you please put these orders in for me? Because I'm just so bad at them. I don't know what it is with paperwork and numbers. It's like I just look at tax time and I'm like, ugh, can't handle it. But know your limitations and know your weaknesses too, and really work hard to fight against them. If you're not very good at replying to emails, this does not build trust. I have heard numerous stories from customers of mine. There was one customer that moved location, and she didn't tell me, but she thought it would be a nice idea to support the local Stampin' Up demonstrator in that area. And so she sent her an email and didn't hear back. And then she sent another email to one, you know, fairly close, but in the same area. And she ended up sending 3 or 4 emails to different demonstrators in her area and never heard back. And so she came back to me and she's like, I thought I was doing the right thing by, you know, contacting these demonstrators and asking them if I could purchase from them. And, you know, she purchased a lot every month. She would spend a couple of $100s. And I did not know that I did not know I was going to lose her because of location. But she wrote back to me and she said, look, I'm going to be really honest with you. I looked for other demonstrators in my area. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I've realized that you're consistent and I know I can rely on you. And I sent all these messages and emails and not one of them has contacted me, and it's been weeks. And so there's demonstrators all around Australia, you know, and I'm sure it happens globally as well, that are missing out on potential customers, which is what they're craving. One falls in their lap and they're not there to look after them. So are you being consistent if someone contacts you? Even if it was something like, I'm looking for this retired stamp set. I had a demonstrator overseas contact me and say, oh, this demonstrator is looking for a retired stamp set. And I'm like, oh, okay, they're probably a demonstrator, but that's okay. I'll look for it. And I looked for it, found it, sent it to them, and I did it in a pretty timely manner. And this customer, I didn't realize that she was a customer, but she was looking for a team leader and she joined the next week. And she's she's just about to become one of my silver elites in my team. And so it's amazing. It's like that was just from doing a bit of customer service and being really proactive and making sure that I follow through on what her request was. So be really consistent. If you want customers, you have to be prepared to do the work. And that means, you know, following up if there's something wrong with their order, You know, do you do this in a timely manner? Because if you don't, if you take their money but then you don't help them when problems arise, this does not create trust. This is like, oh, okay, so they're happy to take my money, but then when there's a problem, you know, then there's an issue. But just learn the processes that you need. I just email Stampin' Up. It's really simple. Make sure that I look up their customer order. And if you don't know how to do those things, go and teach yourself. Go and find out how you can go to Customer Manager and look for someone, and then look for the item, look for the order number. You know, don't expect your customer to know these things. And if you don't know them, how is your customer going to put trust in you that you know what you're doing if you can't find all the information that you need to look after them? So yeah, be really all over that and know that well, because that's going to come part and parcel with having customers. What have we got here? Oh yes, specials. So a lot of us find it really challenging sending newsletters, and some of us may not even send newsletters, but there's no reason why you can't send an email or a text or add some friends to a group on Facebook and let them know if there's a special. Particularly a joining special or some sort of sale of some sort. You know, again, put myself into my customer's shoes. If I found out through another demonstrator that there is a special and my demonstrator didn't tell me, would that affect my trust in that demonstrator? Absolutely. I'd be like, why didn't she tell me? Does she not want me to get the special? Does she not want me to get the discount? Like, you would start asking yourself questions that actually erode trust. And then that in turn could end up meaning that you lose that customer eventually. There was a demonstrator that I was talking to overseas, and she was telling me how she orders quite a large order every couple of months. She puts in a huge order, and she's realized that she's gone over the rewards amount, and she puts it in with a demonstrator, and she has never been given her rewards. And she suddenly realized this from listening to my videos. Even though I'm in a different country, she's realized that she's getting a really bad deal. She's not getting looked after. She's not getting what she needs from a customer point of view. Like the least you can do for your customer is make sure that they're getting the host rewards and offering them that, because they're entitled to that. You don't ever keep that as a demonstrator. That would be like the number one way to erode trust in your customer, as if they found out that you took their rewards. So yeah, she ended up saying to me, look, who would you recommend that I order from? And, you know, I know demonstrators all around the world that I work with on projects, and I know that they follow through, and I know that they're going to be consistent and that they're going to appreciate and care for that customer. And I have to make sure that who I'm recommending is going to be able to do that. So I recommended a demonstrator to her, and already she is just like, thank you so much. This has just made such a world of difference to me, because now I have a community, I'm being cared for, I'm being appreciated, and I'm getting the rewards that I actually were entitled to. So be really mindful of that. And, you know, I've heard demonstrators even say, you know, that demonstrator stole my customer. And it's my little pet thing that I always say, no one steals a customer. I can't go up to a customer and say, hey, do you want to start ordering with me? They'd be like, you freak. That's just weird. No, I've got a demonstrator already, thanks, you poacher. But customers are not silly. You know, I know when I look in a catalog, and if I look at, you know, I compare, say, Big W with Kmart, and at the moment Kmart is just my thing. I love Kmart. I love the value. I love that they bring out new stuff all the time. I love that their stuff is really funky and fun, and it's super cheap. Like, I'm not going to feel like I've been ripped off. And so Kmart is my thing. And it used to be Big W. I'd go there and feel really happy, but now I go there and it's messy and it doesn't look right and there's nothing new and it's just not doing anything for me. So I moved to where the you know, next thing is, and where it's fun and I'm going to get looked after, and there's going to be cool things that I can decorate my craft room with. And it's not that Kmart rang me up and said, hey, you know, Big W sucks. They're so dumb. Come and order with me. No, they didn't have to do that. I'm an intellectual human being, and I can decide for myself where the best deal is and where I'm going to feel happier and feel more connected. And yeah, so you have to create that for your customer. Otherwise, you could potentially lose them. And the only person that you can say, the reason why I lost that customer is because I wasn't either being consistent with them, I wasn't looking after them, I didn't understand them, I didn't have a relationship with them. So if you have a good relationship with your customer, you won't lose them. They will be, you know, as long as they're interested in craft, they will stay with you. So you have no fear. You don't have to worry that, you know, other customers are going to take them. There's no, it just gets rid of all of that. It's like, oh, well, if I lose a customer, what have I done, or what do I need to improve to ensure that they stay? And I have asked customers that in the past. I even notice if they don't place an order, and I check with them and say, hey, I've noticed you haven't ordered in a while. Is everything okay with your family? Because, you know, there's cancer, there's sickness, there's so many things that can happen with our customers. So making sure that we know if something is not normal, and it's not from a point of view of, hey, I want another sale. It's like, no, is everything all right with you guys? You know, what's going on? And that goes a long way in building trust. And then they know if you're being genuine or sincere or not. So another area that's really important is being human. And being human means we make mistakes, and a lot of them. I know I make mistakes all the time. But a really important thing to do, and I've had to learn over the years, is being very, very honest about what has happened. You know, why you dropped the bundle, how you're going to rectify it, when you're going to fix it, and maybe even something to show how sorry you actually are. So it could be a card or a small gift, something that shows that person that you genuinely do not like this situation and that you feel really bad about it. And at times, there's been situations that have come up and I have not reacted the right way. I'm like, ugh, so demanding. Leave me alone. Don't they know that, you know, my dog just got sick and I've got this and I've got this. You know, the customer doesn't know those things. The customer doesn't understand what is happening in your life, and they shouldn't necessarily know. Unless it's your team and it's something ongoing and you need to communicate, hey, I'm going to be off the radar for a bit. This is what's happening. And you put something in place to ensure that the team is looked after. But on the whole, customers do not know what is happening in your life, and you have to be on. You have to make sure that you are able to care for them. And if you're in a position where you're offering something that you can't fulfill, then this is a really dangerous place to get in. Because sometimes what we can think is, well, in order to have success, then we'll compare ourselves to what, you know, Demonstrator X is doing. And I have done this as well, where I've looked at another demonstrator and gone, I really want to do that. And I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. I didn't really do the research, and I've fallen victim to taking on too much. And you've got to be really careful that what you decide to do is something that you can, one, do consistently, and that you can actually fulfill it. Because there's nothing worse than eroding trust than not being able to fulfill something that you have promised to do. And, you know, I continually work on that because I'm always adding new things and new ideas. I'm very good at creating ideas, but the follow through, Bruno will tell you, it needs work. And so I know that that's a dangerous place for me. So I have to be very careful that if I add something, that I'm looking at my week and going, well, hang on a second, where are you going to add that? How is that going to get done? Is that going to go outside your time zone? Are you going to have to do late nights? What are the repercussions going to be? So being very honest. So we want to have a life. We want to be balanced, but we also may want to grow our team. So it's important before we start building a team that we really think about what we want to do for them, how we're going to help them, and really think of it as you being a team together. So I've heard some demonstrators say, I've just joined recently and I've had a few team members. So we're going to grow together. We're going to help each other grow. And that's brilliant. That's the way to view your team. They are your support system to help you keep going. I know that demonstrators that do get a team member, it does change their outlook on things. They suddenly start thinking, well, how can I help my team member? And what do I need to learn in order to help and support them? And that's brilliant. So many good skills that we can learn from that. But it's really, really important that you can be consistent, work out what you can do for that team member and communicate it really well, because that communication is what's going to help them have trust in you. So hopefully you all have been avidly watching and writing notes, because I haven't seen any comments today. Maybe I should ask a question. Is there anything that I have mentioned today that has resonated with you? Does it make sense? Do you think that it will help if you have a team? Do you think it will help your team to have this, feeling of trust, of connection? I would love to hear from you all, because we've got 25 people that were watching. Oh, suddenly I've asked a question. Everyone's gone. We're out of here. Dropped by 5 people. Oh, she's asking me a question. Yeah, I'd love hearing from you all. I mean, you could probably have a think about it anyway and see if there was a few things there that might help you. But yeah, that was the other thing I was going to mention too. Please, 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 and this is a big problem that women have, please ask for help. Do not be afraid to ask for help, because if it means that you can be consistent, then this is a really, really vital area, particularly as your team grows and as your business grows. You are definitely going to need help. And if you hear anyone say having someone helping you is like a sign of weakness, they're crazy, man. Crazy on the coconut. Because you need help. We can't do it alone. And we all have different circumstances. Some have young children. Some have other things that they do outside of Stamping Up. And all of us have different abilities. So there may be an area that we genuinely need help in. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you're a weak leader or that you're cheating or that you're taking advantage. No, you're just building a business. What company will just build a company? Like, imagine if Coles said, no, we don't want to put any more staff on. I just want to run it on my own. Just one person running the entire Coles company. How far would it grow? It wouldn't grow if Coles didn't get employees and it didn't get help and it didn't have people that gave them assistance. You need to, in order to grow, you need support. So keep this in mind as your business grows. Don't think that you have to be a martyr and take on everything and be all over everything and do everything perfectly. That's not humanly possible. So give yourself permission to ask for help, and give yourself permission to ask your team members for help. Because they're benefiting from having you as a good team leader that is consistent, reliable, that they can trust. And so they need to be trained. They need to see that there's work involved in keeping that going. And if they're benefiting it, if they've got team members in that group, there is absolutely no reason why you can't ask for help. And look, at the end of the day, if they can't help you, they will say, I really can't help you right now. I've got a lot on my plate. And you go, okay, no problem. And, I've asked team members for help and they haven't been able to do it like consistently, or they haven't been able to. So I've learnt, okay, maybe if I break it up into, sharing the load, it will help. And so you just work around it, but just definitely ask for help. So am I missing comments? Is there any comments here? No. I'm all alone today. Do you like Kylie's sad face? I'll put that as my screen, my main page. Instead of a smiling Kylie, I'll do this. No comments. 25 comments so far. Why can't I see comments then? What is going on, Facebook? I seriously can't see one comment. what has happened. I'm going to have to go back and look at them all because literally I can't see any. Not one. I thought I was talking to myself. So I'm very sorry if I missed some of your wonderful comments. I'll go on my iPad and see if I can see them on there, just in case there's some questions. How funny that I couldn't see them. Like, literally, they're not here. Where are you? Comments. Here we go. We'll go to Facebook. That one. I just got a message from Rose Desmond, and she's like, there's comments, Kylie. How funny that I couldn't see them. Like, we'll go to Facebook. That's the lag. We'll turn that down. We don't want double Kylie. Message. She's like, I can't even turn it off. What is going on today? It is a technology meltdown. That's what we're going to call it. Okay. Yes. Oh, thanks, Glenda. We love you, Kylie. Pam, lots of appreciate your videos. Yes, Denise, I love that there's a group of demos all around the world that we can rely on. I love that point. That's very true. Rosemary, I create challenges for my team, but it's always the same people. Is that okay, or should I be thinking of doing something else? That's a really good question, Rosemary. So I think that when you first start out, it's a little bit challenging because you do have the same people, but as your team grows, it's going to change. And maybe it is trying different things, or maybe it's just doing something once a month when you're new as opposed to once a week, because that could be a burden on you. And if it's the same people all the time, I try and do things like random draws so that my hobby demos are feeling involved and are feeling part of the group. And then it's not necessarily based on the same people all the time. So I might do a random prize draw that's based on just my entire team, whether they're on the group or not. So that's a nice way to make them feel involved. Loris, I feel it's the most important thing. I don't have a team at present, but everything you do have mentioned my team leader does. And that's really nice, Loris, that your team member does that, your team leader. But it is very difficult. You know, I think we need to, if we do have a supportive team leader, or even if we don't have a supportive team leader, it's really important to understand that they could be at a different place. They may not be building a business right now, and that's okay. You know, team leaders are not necessarily expected to carry us. We have to carry ourselves, and we have to be our own independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and build our own team. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a team leader to have a team. You can grow your own. Helen said that there's lots to think about. Yeah, I think that's... Denise. Oh, she can't see the comments. That's cute. So, thank you very much. I'm very happy that I wasn't just talking to myself today. So random that I couldn't see the comments. It's the first time that has happened on here. Is there another section or something? Nope. So weird. Anyway, technology. Sometimes it fails us. At least I wasn't all over the place today. I was very consistent. It was good timing. So thank you for joining me, everyone. If you have any other comments, if there's something that has really resonated with you in my talk today, please pop it in the comments below, something that you want to apply, because listening to these videos are no good if you don't actually do it. So think about how you can apply the information, something that's helped change your mind, helped you build trust maybe with your team leader. Be very conscious of how you talk about other demonstrators. I think this is a really big area of trust, even within our own markets, because even though we are taking from the same customer pool, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. And we need to get over that and help each other to become stronger, even within our own market. To support one another and to build each other up, because it builds the company up, and that in turn helps all of us to have secure jobs. And that's what we want. We want Stampin' Up to keep going. So just keep learning, keep growing. I'd love to hear from you all as to how you're going to apply the information and whether you learned something new today. And please share this video with your team members. And maybe say, because of Kylie's talk today, this is what I'm going to implement in my team. Or ask them a question. What would you like to see in our team? What can I do that's different? I think Loris asked a question about, do I do the same thing? Ask your team. What do they want? What would they like to see? Maybe if you don't want it being if you don't want it to get too negative on your group, ask them individually via a survey. I just use Google Forms. It's free and it's simple, so you can go on there and use that. So happy applying. And we shall see you next week. Next week's talk, what do I have here? Ooh, continually innovate. It sounds good, doesn't it? So please come and join me, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.